like the great philosophers, the Black Eyed Peas once said. Let's get it started. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. I tried, but it was terrible. Happy Saturday night. Feeling, all right. My whole day is, like, shifted a bit, it feels like, scheduling-wise. Like, I was up really early, and then I then did the morning stream that I thought I would do, start earlier, started later in the morning, so then everything, like, shifted. Like, time-wise, I feel like everything shifted. So, we finished, finale'd, platinumed, Destroy All Humans 2 earlier today. It's finally knocked out. What an experience. What an experience that was. Glad that's out of the way. And then, yeah, I just feel like, ever since then, like, I feel like normally I would have started the stream, like, 2 hours ago or something. But instead, we're here. Everything is out of whack. But it's fine. So, we're gonna do some reading. A chill Saturday night. Do some scrambling. Some, 428 Shibuya Scramble. Or 428 in the blocked city, Shibuya. And then, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I don't know if I'm doing anything tomorrow. I don't know. Part of me is like, yeah, sure, I could totally make birthday plans tomorrow. And then part of me is like, also, I could just sleep all day tomorrow. I don't know. I'm playing it by ear. There might also be something that might be planned for me, in which case I kind of need to leave my schedule open. But like I said, we'll see. I'm not holding my breath. And I also know that shit still sucks in the real world currently, so it's not like options are unlimited for a lot of things. That's kind of made certain things difficult. And honestly, I don't even really care. I'm not a big shocker to say, not a big birthday person, kind of in general. I mean, once you get to a certain point, it's just like, I mean, honestly, these past 6 months have just, I've been flying by the seat of my pants. New job, fucking pandemic, protests. Shit keeps getting worse, and I'm just like, just trying to continue on to the next day. And I feel like I closed my eyes once, and these 6 months passed, and 2020 is half over, and I'm like, oh, we're in the middle of June. And then it's like, I remember a week ago, someone's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I'm like, I don't fucking care, man. I don't really even know, and I don't even really care. Like, I just don't. I don't know what to do, man. Let's just read. So if we remember last time we played this, 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago. We got a bad end on Kano's timeline because Minorikawa was looking like he was gonna jump. And so Kano was like, fuck, I gotta help Minorikawa. And then that ended up messing things up. Couldn't ignore the situation and impulsively rushed to the rescue. If Minorikawa hadn't turned up on that rooftop, Kano would have been able to focus on his primary mission. So clearly, Norikawa at this point at 1640 needs to not be on a rooftop. But obviously we can't fix that yet because we're blocked with a keep out. Unless this is the actual jump there. Unless this is the jump back. I guess we'll find out, right? Little French noise there for you. Yeah, hit me with that music. From the edge of the rooftop, Norikawa gazed down at the city below, no longer aware of the passage of time. Oh, I'll probably go for like a couple hours here. At least. Maybe at most. Also, I totally remembered I forgot to tweet out the going live link, but that's why you should turn notifications for Twitch if you give a shit. It's fine though. From the edge of the rooftop, Norikawa gazed down at the city below, no longer aware of the passage of time. No matter how hard he tried to write about the truth, ultimately, he hadn't been able to change anything. So what had it all been for? The last ghost of his desire to keep up, the struggle, left him as he considered how meaningless it had all been. Don't do anything rash! An intruder abruptly shattered his brooding silence. A man in a suit had appeared behind him. Now, he rushed closer, calling out with concern. Let's not be hasty. Nobody's going to be happy if you jump. If he jumped? Norikawa stepped to the very edge and cast his gaze straight down. Jesus! That might not be a bad idea. Hell, maybe some part of him actually wanted to. Suddenly it felt like the natural course of action. From up here, the city looked like a miniature diorama of cars and people. It didn't quite seem real. Stop! Don't do it! Norikawa took a step forward despite the stranger's words, feeling a splendid sense of liberation as he did so. He allowed his body to go limp, consigning himself to the fall. But just as he began to topple, he was abruptly yanked back. Don't go wasting your life like this, the stranger barked. The look on his face was outrageously solemn. And then, for some reason, he slapped a handcuff onto Norikawa's right wrist. What? Before Norikawa could react, the man locked the second cuff in the pair around the nearby fence. I promise I'll come back. Please, just stay alive for a few minutes longer, okay? And with that, the guy darted away. What the hell? Norikawa muttered. He found himself alone again, unable to go anywhere even if he wanted to. Feeling emptier than ever, he resumed his aimless vigil, staring out across Shibuya. And in the end, the man never did come back. Not even after the sun had set. Damn. And night had fallen. And the next bleak morning came. Well, that's no good. Starting early on the bad ends tonight. Abandoned. Some guy, it was Kano of course, showed up out of nowhere, handcuffed Norikawa, then left him to languish on the rooftop. It had looked to Kano like Norikawa was contemplating suicide. An understandable mistake under the circumstances. Maybe now isn't the best time to reminisce about the past. Don't reminisce about the past. Ain't that the truth? Also, I gotta say, I don't think we have that much longer in this game. I don't think there's that much. What are the other options here? Norikawa depressed. The stumbling man. Which of these do I... That's a keep out. I'm gonna check on these other options here. B and A. B first, A then. And see what I can maybe correct here. Stand up right now. You just need to forge ahead. Yeah, that was his only option, really. Couldn't just let things end like this. And he still didn't have what he needed for his article, so Minorukawa took a deep breath, readying to get back on his feet. Before he could, however, a young man stumbled across his path, taking a nasty fall on the pavement. Ow, oh damn, that hurts. The youngster scrambled back to his feet and turned to Minorukawa with a snarl. What are you looking at, pal? The young man clutched a piece of timber like a club. There was a nasty gleam in his eyes. I'm not looking at anything, Minorukawa sighed. I just happen to be looking in your direction. Shut your yap. Apologize, bitch, now. Punk raised his cudgel. What for? You tricked me, man. Ain't you gonna apologize for that? The kid had stumbled all on his own, but was probably too embarrassed to admit it. Guess he's got to vent his anger at someone. Listen, kid, Minorukawa said. It's not my fault you're such a klutz. The hell you just say to me? You got a death wish, pal? With a murderous glare, the punk advanced on him, brandishing his weapon. Hey, Minorukawa said. I don't think I can pick A. That's the thing. Alright, I'm sorry. Getting dragged onto a street fight was not what he needed right now. It was better to just apologize and be done with it. Should have shown me that kind of respect from the start. Punk shook his head, muttering under his breath. Another dumbass gotta get taught some manners. With that, the young thug headed off in the direction of Dogenzaka. Minorukawa looked around. He noticed a taxi idling nearby. It was Kimazuka. Do you need a ride, sir? Kimazuka asked, all politeness, as he opened the back door. Is this different? If you're heading to that publishing office again, I can get you there in 10 minutes. Kimazuka's driving was as smooth as always. He wove his way skillfully through a series of back streets. There was some big explosion earlier, he explained. The main roads are all gridlocked. Yeah, Minorukawa muttered. I was there when it happened. Oh, wow, really? I'm glad to see you're not hurt then. What a terrible thing. That minivan. I hear someone was inside when it exploded. I'm not sure if you were aware. Yeah, I'm aware. Oh, nothing gets past a reporter like you, I see. Kimazuka flashed Minorukawa an approving smile through the rearview mirror. How much have you heard, then? Rumor has it the person who died was a middle-aged man. Oh, huh? We taxi drivers tend to hear quite a bit ourselves. Kimazuka chuckled, but Minorukawa just cast his eyes down forlornly. Yeah, this is different, so that was maybe the right thing to do, so that we don't go to the top of the building. You look tired, sir. Yeah, I guess so. His reply was barely audible. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. Let me just check. Make sure. Aha, I did correct that. Okay, but we're in Minorukawa now, so we'll continue. No need to jump unless we have to. Or jump around, unless we need to. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. Minorukawa left a 1,000-yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. He was stumbling his way toward the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minorukawa! For a moment, Minorukawa didn't recognize the man now idling his sedan at the curb. But when he took a closer look, he realized it was Kenji Osawa. Oh, Mr. Osawa, sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. It's quite alright. Osawa looked pale and haggard. Minorukawa's reporter sense started tingling. This guy is the key to something. He recalled what he'd heard the detective and his buddy talking about back at the scene of the explosion. Roughly 8 hours ago, they infected Maria Osawa with the Ua virus. If we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms. You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How do you know that? Because, the reporter said simply, I'm Minoru Minorukawa. Osawa rolled his eyes. Well, that'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Oh, hell yeah. Adventuring buddies. Minorukawa hesitated. This might be his big chance to land a beyond incredible scoop. Yet it felt like it was too late to matter. Still, landing a major story, selling out an issue of 4-star general gossip, and putting Heaven Publishing on the road to solvency All that was the least he could do in Toyama's memory. You don't drop a story until you have what you need. Maybe it was too late to save Toyama. But Minorikawa got in the car. Yeah, buddies. Asawa's talehead was beyond anything Minorikawa had imagined. So, they send you threatening emails, devise a plan to kidnap your daughter in order to get the antiviral. And now that that's failed, they're turning to bioterrorism? Finally, Minorikawa was able to flesh out the story behind the conversation he'd overheard earlier. And as he did, he could feel a growing sense of exhilaration. So basically, they're now effectively holding all the people of Shibuya hostage and demanding the antiviral. Is that it? Before Asawa could answer, a new idea occurred to Minorikawa. Wait, hold on. Why didn't they just start by holding the whole city hostage? Why did they need to go through all the trouble of kidnapping your daughter? I don't know, Asawa said, shaking his head. Perhaps they wanted the ransom money? For a mere 50 million yen? I can't imagine international terrorists bothering for that much. You can't know how terrorists think, Asawa spat. Let's just assume, though. Could there be some other reason they abducted your daughter? Asawa didn't reply. He was probably too preoccupied with finding a way to save his infected daughter to think about anything else. Still, something about the course of events didn't quite add up to Minorikawa. But whatever the case, if the criminals were after this antiviral, then sticking with Asawa ought to bring him closer to the truth. Minorikawa was still mulling that over when they arrived at the laboratory. Oh shit. The two men hopped out of the car and were immediately rushed by a pair of security guards who subdued them in a matter of moments. Hey, Minorikawa protested. What the hell is this? Unhand me, Asawa yelled. I'm Kenji Asawa. This is my lab. But evidently that didn't matter to the guards. Whoa. Another man emerged from the building. He and Asawa exchanged a few brief words. Judging from the tone of the conversation, this was someone who outranked Asawa at the company. Take him away. As the newcomer looked on, the guards dragged Asawa into the building. Hey, Minorikawa shouted at the man as he began to walk away. Don't you know what's going to happen to Shibuya? Don't you care? If you just stand by and let the people of the city die, Akoshi Pharmaceutical is going to be held responsible. The man stopped in his tracks. And if that happens, you'll be ruined personally too, Minorikawa added. You know I'm right. That will be up for the police to decide. You're going to regret this. Don't be a fool. Minorikawa's resolve was unwavering. His pen would mete out justice. He might have come close to forgetting what he once stood for, but now the old fire was back. I see. It seems this isn't something to leave unchecked. The man gestured with his jaw. Take him away as well. Take him as well. More security guards surrounded Minorikawa. Hey, stop it, let me go! But though he struggled fiercely, there was no escape. Once he was dragged through those laboratory doors, Minorikawa never wrote another article again. Ah, shit. Ah, shit. Ah, fuck. Oh man, there were bad endings aplenty as we've gotten later into this game. You have to have everything worked out just perfectly, it feels like. Number 60, detained at the lab. Minorikawa accompanied Asawa to the lab, but there's no getting past security guards, and if even Asawa can't get into his own lab, there's no real reason to go there. It's Asawa who needs to decide on a different course of action here. So yeah, we have to jump into Asawa's stories, clearly what it's telling us. So we can, I'd rather not, like I said, break the seal of the other character stories before we finish the ones that we started. So our choice is back to Kano, or we can jump into Asawa. And since we've kind of already started doing this, you know, with Minorikawa, we might as well jump into Asawa here, since we've already kind of started to see what they were doing. And let's try to, you know, get this story. Break that tape. Driving. As he was driving past Oyama, Asawa spotted a man he recognized walking along. He pulled up alongside him and called out through the window. Mr. Minorikawa. Oh, different perspective. Oh, Mr. Asawa, sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. It's quite alright. The business with the eye and Tanaka could wait until later. Right now, he needed to focus on protecting Shibuya. If he didn't get his hands on that antiviral... You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How did you know, Pat? Because I'm Minoru Minorikawa. Well, the man's egotism has some justification. Maybe he didn't know the details, but he clearly had some inkling about Asawa's situation. Something clicked in Asawa's mind. He was up against the wall. Akoshi Pharmaceutical had told him they were going to just let Maria die. He was past the point where he could resolve this peaceably. But he was not going to give up without a fight. When it came time, Asawa was sure this man could help him. Well, that'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Minorikawa thought for a moment, then got into the passenger seat. As he drove to the lab, Asawa filled Minorikawa in on all the details. The reporter listened intently, occasionally interrupting to ask a question. So how are you planning on getting your hands on the antiviral? He asked when Asawa had finished. I'm not sure. I figured I'd think of something after I got there. Minorikawa let out a nasal chuckle. Just improvising, huh? Ah, well. I'll back you up. At least I know I found my way into something important. They pulled up outside the lab and the two men got out of the car. Ah, shit. Boom, 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 boom. Immediately, a team of security guards burst out through the gate and forced Asawa to the ground. Hey! Minorikawa protested. What the hell is this? Oh. I like how we're getting, like, this music for this part with them. The guards had grabbed him as well. Unhand me, Asawa yelled. I'm Kenji Asawa. This is my lab. Mr. Asawa, Minorikawa shouted. What the hell is going on here? But Asawa was just as confused. He looked up to see Makino standing before him. Sir, tell these thugs to let me go. But Makino just frowned silently down at him. So, not only will you not help me, you're actively getting in my way? So glared up at his boss. Maria's life? No, countless human lives at risk? And there's nothing that you alone can do about that. That's what I need you to understand. Makino gave a signal to the guards, who proceeded to drag Asawa away. The scientist writhed with despair at his own impotence. Boom, boom. In the end, there was nothing I could do. Nothing. What? How are you? It's gotta be like, Achi's gotta go and kill Makino somehow. Asawa decided to try to get the antiviral directly, and even got some unexpected help from Minorikawa along the way. Unfortunately, upon arriving at the lab, they had run in with Makino and his security goons. It looks like Asawa's just not going to be able to get into the laboratory. He'll have to make some other decision. Completely different decision. Completely different decision. Was there is this? What is this decision? What is this? What must this be? Boop, boop, boop. His tone has suggested that waiting for an appointee wouldn't be a terribly hopeful prospect. I have no more allies, Asawa thought. All I have left now are foes. It's worth trying to see. Still, he'd just have to take Makino at his word. Right now, that was his only course of action. Saul sat down in front of his computer and quietly closed his eyes. If only I could just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and find all this resolved. All I'm asking for is a miracle. But he knew reality would never be so kind. He could hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted, and wouldn't make this hopeless situation go away. He felt the anxiety welling up inside him until it seemed like he was going to explode. Yeah. Needing a distraction from his helplessness, Sawa opened up Ayanet. He knew this was mere escapism, but he couldn't just sit and do nothing while waiting for Makino to call back. He posted a new topic with the title, Aya Fortune Teller. It's definitely a different route. Different course of action here. I tried the Aya Fortune Teller. My results basically said I was a bad person who can't connect to the people around me. And you know what? That's exactly right. I'm only interested in my own little world. That's probably why my wife and my assistant at work got so fed up with me. This is depressing. It's the same with my two daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? Do they have a lot of friends? What are their aspirations for the future? I don't know any of those things. It never even occurred to me to find out. I'm such a terrible father. Oh, Spyro music is back. Oh no. Babies. I saw his fingers cease their tapping on the keyboard as he thought back to when Maria and Hitomi were younger. Daddy, Daddy! Two girls would follow him around like a pair of puppies. Their father was their everything. That much was clear just by looking at their faces. He'd felt a ticklish giddiness at having his girls cling to him so. He never felt anything like it in his life, but there were times where he also found it tiresome. I am sick of being the person I am. There's nothing I can do about that, though. I'm sure it's far too late for me to change. He poured out all his negative emotions into his post. It felt like stream of consciousness drivel, but he didn't hesitate to write it down all the same. He wanted other people to know what a miserable excuse for a human being he was. At last, when he couldn't think of anything else to add, he posted his bitter confession to the forum. He was staring numbly at the monitor when he heard a furious shout from the next room. You have got to be kidding me! It was Kajiwara, and Asawa had never heard him so angry. Oh, Kajiwara angry. What the fuck is going on? Asawa headed into the living room and found Kajiwara embroiled in a vehement argument with the other detectives. I don't care what HQ's policy is, I will not just quietly go along with this. Kajiwara had already screamed himself red in the face. You're out of line, snapped one MPD detective. Kichi Sawatari, with the Metropolitan Police Department's first criminal investigation section. Having heard of Kajiwara's past deeds from friends at the Shibuya precinct, he recommended to his boss that Kajiwara be assigned to the investigation at the Asawa residence. After seeing the detective's interactions with Asawa, he was confident that his recommendation was in the right. However, given the circumstances, he can't help but take a cold stance towards Kajiwara. Hold your tongue. I don't care if I'm out of line. You may have talent, I'll give you that, the other detective said. But you're a precinct detective, and this isn't your jurisdiction. It's not your place to question orders from higher up. Wait, Asawa thought. Kajiwara really is a real detective after all? Go on. Explain the situation to Mr. Asawa. Kajiwara bit his lip in frustration at the other detective's order. Very well, he said. But before he could say more, Asawa noticed that the police equipment had all been cleared off the table. Uh-oh. Hold on, Asawa said. What's going on? Has something happened? Allow me to explain, sir, Kajiwara said. His bitterness showed plainly on his face. We've been recalled, sir. The MPD has established a security force headed by members of its police security bureau to deal with the bioterrorist threat. Because the kidnapping task force has not yet found Maria, she's infected with the virus, the task force personnel have instead been absorbed into the security force and will continue their work under its direction. Someone narrowed his eyes, fighting to keep the confusion from his face. What do you mean by that? He was shaking, terrified to have his suspicions confirmed. I'm truly sorry, sir, for having been unable to help you. Kajiwara gave a deep and solemn bow. But, Maria, what's going to happen to Maria? Another unit has been tasked with bringing your daughter into custody, sir. That much at least Asawa could process. You're going to place her under quarantine, aren't you? Kajiwara's lips stiffened, but he nodded. In order to minimize the spread of the virus, so I was told. No, Sawa cried. You can't do that. If you do, there won't be any way to save her. His head spun. Please, I beg you. You need to get Maria to me. I might be able to save her. When Kajiwara didn't respond, he turned to the other detectives. Please, don't. You can't place Maria under quarantine. But the detectives' only answer was to avert their eyes. Why are you all ignoring me? Please, you have to listen. If you bring her to me, I can figure something out. I know I can. He plunked himself down on the floor, yelling and flailing his arms like a child throwing a tantrum. All walked away at the same pace. The detectives exchanged sullen looks with one another, and then walked off and left him there. He knew he must be a sorry sight, but nevertheless, he kept shouting after them. Please, don't stand by and let my daughter die. Damn. Only Kajiwara remained with him in the living room. I'm sorry, sir. This was beyond my ability to stop. He gave another apologetic bow. Sawa felt suddenly deflated. No, you've done a fine job, Detective Kajiwara. It's me who should be sorry. I've made such a disgraceful display of myself. That's not true, sir. In fact, I'm deeply moved. I can tell how much Maria must mean to you. Sawa shook his head. If I'd really been thinking about Maria, I would have made an effort to work with you detectives more. Struggling to read. Oh no, it's so late. Not really, but my body is like, oh, it's so late. That was all just self-absorbed shouting. A moment of emotional selfishness. And yet, as a result, you convinced me to stay here with you. Kajiwara proceeded to pull out his phone and put in a request with the task force headquarters to remain at the Asawa residence. He got into a heated spat with his commanding officer, but ultimately received permission to stay on as the police liaison with Asawa. Well, the detective said when he'd hung up, you see, there's some people who are legitimately moved by a parental display of emotion, even if I'm not certain that I can do very much in staying here with you. That's not true, Asawa replied. There's plenty you can help me with. He looked into Kajiwara's face and smiled. For instance... Do I just go with the fucking banana? Fuck it. I can have a banana whenever I want. Kajiwara returned Asawa's grin even more brightly. Yes, of course. By all means, have as many as you like. He then produced a pair of bananas from his pocket. Damn. Handing one to his companion. Aw, just two bros sharing a banana. You know, I'm a firm believer in the communal act of sharing a drink with someone. Sharing company over a drink, you know? Who says you can't do the same with bananas, you know? Asawa peeled his banana and took a hearty bite. Oh my goodness. The mild sweetness was pleasant and soothing. It was a flavor that brought back memories. I often eat bananas when I go to the park with my daughter, Kajiwara muttered between mouthfuls. I didn't realize you had a daughter, Detective. She just started grade school this year. Oh, really? She must be adorable. Well, I don't get to see her as much as I'd like. A lonely sort of smile crossed Kajiwara's face. Why is that? Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife hit me with the divorce paperwork. Oh no. Depressing. I wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but, well, the law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues. The detective then pulled 2 bars of chocolate from his pocket. It's good to have something sweet when you're exhausted, he said. Asala took one, but said nothing. More recently, my ex-wife had been talking about getting remarried, Kajiwara continued. And she wants me to stop seeing our daughter. He bit into his own chocolate bar with a soft snap. It's no less than I deserve, but it still hurts. Asala couldn't help but sympathize. The man was losing his daughter. Here was someone he could really talk to. He was sure of that much now. Detective, I apologize. I kept things from you because I was worried that they involved classified corporate information. Oh? Kajiwara's eyes glimmered with interest. Earlier today, I received some emails. They could be pertinent to the case. Would you mind letting me see them? Asala shook his head. On the contrary. Back in front of his computer, Asala saw that Ionet was still open. Pretty Honey had responded to his forum post. No, we gotta read. Pretty Honey, man. One moment. Just let me read this. Asala read the response. I got that same result. Do you really think it's too late? Don't give up hope. Hang in there, emoticon. It's never too late. Every family has its share of problems. Like, you'll never find one that doesn't, I'm sure. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. So don't let it get you down, Julie. Besides, I did learn one thing from reading your post. In the end, a father's happiness is his daughter's happiness. Kajiwara peered into the monitor. A young girl is posting to a forum for people 40 and older? It's Pretty Honey. She always replies to my threads. The detective furrowed his brow. I see. Is something the matter? No. That last line there just has me curious is all. A young girl writing something like that? Well, that's neither here nor there right now. Let me see those emails, if you would. It's on to him. Asala opened his email. He pulled up the images of the human testing on the monitor. Oh god, horrifying pictures. Oh god! What is this? Kajiwara stared at the monitor, as if unable to look away. These are images from unauthorized clinical testing of an antiviral drug I developed, carried out by my company without my knowledge. Images of a... I'm sorry, what was that? The detective frowned at the unfamiliar terminology. In simple terms, the antiviral is a wonder drug to combat the Ua virus. Hold on, Maria's infected with the Ua virus, isn't that right? Yes, Ua is a species of virus discovered in South Africa relatively recently. Roughly 12 hours after infection, patients develop a cough, then a fever, then begin vomiting, and ultimately begin to bleed uncontrollably from all over, resulting in death. The mortality rate is... Saul was reluctant to say it. Kajiwara held his breath, waiting. It's nearly 100%. Kajiwara shuddered. But wait, he said after a moment. If you have this wonder drug, then Maria... Asawa shook his head. Without Tanaka, I have no means of getting it out of the lab. Kajiwara's frown deepened. I see. It may not be much to go on, but I think we can put together at least one piece of our little mystery here. Something difficult or impossible to explain. An enigma. You see plenty of books titled The Mystery of Such and Such, or The Secret of Whatever, on bookstore shelves, but when you read them, you're invariably disappointed by the mystery not being that mysterious after all. Pardon me one moment. Kajiwara inspected the email address of the sender, A, then brought up the mail header. You don't see email addresses like this much. It's seemingly from a foreign country, but that may be fake. You can tell that just from the email? The detective flashed a little grin. Take a look here. So if we just do this, and then this, his fingers flew over the keyboard, calling up the header details, signaling out the received from field. This set of 4 numbers at the bottom is the sender's IP address. Think of it as an ordinary hidden location marker of sorts. As he spoke, the detective pulled up a website called IP Station. He copied and pasted the set of 4 numbers and pressed the enter key. The monitor showed the name of the provider, connection method, and other such details. A provider is a vendor that provides an internet connection service. A typical internet connection requires a dedicated line. Customers who do not already have one must make a contract for one with the provider. When the provider establishes your connection to the internet, you are assigned an identifying number called an IP address. Sawa couldn't make heads or tails of most of it, but one thing drew his eye. Access point, Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. Kajiwara went into the email's programs options and checked the server info for Asawa's connection. Deep furrows formed in his forehead. This is the same provider that you used, Mr. Sawa. What does that mean? What kind of internet connection do you have here at your house? What sort? Well, it's plugged in over there, but Sawa pointed at the router. It's fucking I, dude. And does everyone in your family use that same line? Yes, I think so. Kajiwara opened up a command prompt, then typed ipconfig. A literal prompt for users to issue computer control commands via keyboard instead of mouse, also frequently used to refer to the window or program allowing for such. It's gonna be fucking I, dude. She's on to something. She's doing something. Okay, so if the same numbers we saw before pop up here, that's a bad sign. Oh? Sawa stared at the monitor. Kajiwara pressed enter and a black window covered in white alphanumeric characters appeared. What the heck? Kajiwara muttered under his breath. Wait, what's going on? Sawa asked. Explain simply, so that I can understand. Faking an email address is simple enough, but the typical person wouldn't be able to fake an IP. It's very likely that these emails were sent from another computer inside this house. Asawa had to stifle a gasp. The emails had been sent from his own house at around 11 o'clock this morning. Since Asawa hadn't sent them himself, that left only one possible culprit. I. Suddenly, his phone rang, nearly startling him out of his seat. Makino's name showed on the incoming call display. Asawa quickly picked up. Is there an update on the emergency board meeting? He blurted. Makino's voice was quiet and subdued. I tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. I'm afraid holding a board meeting today just won't be possible. The phone fell from Asawa's hand. His only possible means of saving Maria was now gone. Damn! Oh, what's it mean? What's it mean? What's I doing? I knew we shouldn't have trusted I from the beginning. This is crazy. But that's one to be continued done. Now Kano is available. Well, we should do Minorikawa still because he doesn't join up with, as we can see, the correct storyline would be that he doesn't join up with Sawa, but he still needs to make sure he doesn't hang out at the top of the building to distract Kano, basically. So we'll just go from here. Hey, Norikawa said. Alright, I'm sorry. Getting dragged into a street fight was not what he needed right now. It was better to just apologize and be done with it. Should have shown me that kind of respect from the start. Punk shook his head, muttering under his breath. Another dumbass gotta get taught some manners. With that, the young thug, I think I did it last time too, headed off in the direction of Dokenzaka. Norikawa looked around. He noticed a taxi idling nearby. It was Kimizuka. "Do you need a ride, sir?" Kimizuka asked, all politeness as he opened the back door. "If you're heading to that publishing office again, I can get you there in 10 minutes. Kimizuka's driving was as smooth as always. He wove his way skillfully through a series of back streets. "There was some big explosion earlier," he explained. "The main roads are all gridlocked." "Yeah," Norikawa muttered. "I was there when it happened." "Oh, wow, really? Glad to see you're not hurt then. Still, what a terrible thing. That minivan? I hear someone was inside when it exploded. I'm not sure if you were aware." Yeah, I'm aware." "Oh, nothing gets past a reporter like you, I see." Kimizuka flashed Norikawa an approving smile through the rearview mirror. "How much have you heard then? Rumor has it that the person who died was a middle-aged man." "Oh, huh." "We taxi drivers tend to hear quite a bit ourselves," Kimizuka chuckled, but Norikawa just cast his eyes down forlornly. "You look tired, sir." "Yeah, I guess so." His reply was barely audible. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. The trip had taken 10 minutes on the dot. "Thanks." Norikawa left a 1,000-yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. "Sir," the driver called out after him. Norikawa turned back around. Kimizuka was leaning out the window to point at him. "It isn't called work because it's fun, sir. The day will be over soon enough. Just hang in there a little bit longer." The driver finished with a knowing grin. Norikawa cracked a ghost of a smile. Maybe his spirits had been lifted just a tiny little bit. "Thank you," he replied. "You're a true friend of the working man." He waved half-heartedly, then headed into the building. "Mr. Mino!" Chiaki threw herself at him as soon as he opened the door to the editing office. News of the explosion was playing on the television. Norikawa marched straight to his desk and opened up his laptop. While it booted up, he tried to get a handle of the current situation. "Where are the folks from the loan company?" he asked. "They're here," Chiaki said. "I have them waiting downstairs." Do they know Toyama's dead?" "I'm sorry. I kind of let that slip." "What about Hana?" "I'm not sure. I haven't heard from her since she called earlier." With a tiny sigh, Norikawa started typing at his laptop. By some miracle, 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. Still, he needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. That would serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. He loaded his copy into the DTP software in order to set the layout. Bit by bit, actual magazine articles began to take shape. Then the editing department door swung open. "Hey!" snarled the young man who barged in first. He kicked over a stack of books. "How long are you gonna keep us waiting, huh?" "Honestly, Sagawa, must you be so rowdy?" A middle-aged man stepped in alongside him. "Are you Mr. Norikawa then?" he added as his eyes fixed on the journalist. He held out his business card. "A pleasure to meet you. I'm Asao Ozu from Takarada Financing, the black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows, well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what's owed. Its business card slogan, got bad credit but you need a loan? Call anytime, we'll put together a loan that suits your needs." Your needs! It's your money and you need it now. My deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama. However, I'm afraid that we need you to give us back the money we loaned. Despite his polite tone, the threat of his voice was plain. Look, next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip is definitely coming out. Couldn't you please wait for repayment until we have the funds from those sales? Norikawa asked. That was exactly what Toyama's plan had been, after all. Well, we certainly aren't monsters. If the magazine is going to be making you money, we wouldn't mind delaying another month. You really mean it? Chiaki chirped. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama were still alive. Releasing the next issue is all well and good, but with Toyama gone, so too is the company. That will make full repayment of what we owe impossible, I expect. Then what do you want us to do? Minorukawa asked coldly. Look how over it Minorukawa is right now. He's just fucking done. How about we just cut to the chase, growled the younger man, Sagawa. Dig out your ears and listen up. Chiaki recoiled in a panic, and Minorukawa held up an interposing hand. Knock it off, he said. You're scaring the young lady. A thin smile came to Ozu's face. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Yeah, that's right, Sagawa said. Tell us where the girl is. No way, Chiaki squeaked in protest. Hana's just a little kid. She doesn't have any responsibility to pay back the... Ozu didn't let her finish. Hey, where that? Nevertheless, we'd still like to know where she is. The law didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. It was clear from the looks on their faces that Ozu and Sagawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeves. Unless, of course, you would prefer to take on Toyama's debts, Mr. Minorukawa. You are quite the accomplished reporter, after all. Take on his debts, huh? Minorukawa didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed, but it only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. How about it? Ozu asked. The way you land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay us in full before you die. Minorukawa fiercely returned his stare. Let's just call it even, man. Can't we just call it even? The two men stiffened. What was that? The older of the two demanded. Nope, lay on it. Can't we just call it even? This time Minorukawa spat the words out sharp and clear. The older fellow furrowed his brow, a vein pulsing visibly at his temple. You want to say that one more time? He growled. Minorukawa cleared his throat. Do it. Call it even. Oh, well, shit. The next thing Minorukawa knew, he'd been headbutted right between the eyes. An instant later, he was slammed bodily down onto the desk. You dumb bastard. He could vaguely hear the middle-aged man's voice ringing inside his head. That's when he lost consciousness. Well, it was worth a try. You know? Mr. Mino! Someone was calling to him. Mr. Mino, wake up! Chiaki? He forced his eyelids back open. Huh? What happened? Here, could you please read this? Chiaki held out a printed draft of her article. How long had you been knocked out? A minute? No, maybe an hour? Are you awake now, sir? The voice of the middle-aged thug intruded on his dazed mind. Looking around, Minorukawa saw the two men from Takarada Financing still there, casually seated on the sofa. For a second, I thought it was like gonna pretend like he'd fallen, like Minorukawa just fell asleep. He couldn't have been out for too long then. We'll just wait here until you're inclined to take on this debt. Minorukawa's nose stung painfully. Please, can you read this? Chiaki repeated. It's my copy from the street interviews. I know even if next month's issue gets released, it's not going to fix the debt problem, but still. I mean, I already wrote it and all. Nodding silently, Minorukawa took hold of the copy. She was right. This wasn't going to help with the debt situation. But when a professional took on a job, they saw it through to the end. Minorukawa gave it a quick once-over. He saw immediately that the piece was lacking in structure. It was crap. Crap. He then read the article a second time, checking the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. This is no good. Rewrite it. He thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. She bowed her head and retreated to another desk. The TV was still on. A news broadcaster's voice suddenly broke through the silence, as well as Minorukawa's concentration. We're live on the scene now, where an explosion in Shibuya has... Minorukawa gazed blankly at the screen. He found his mind drifting to a particular memory of Toyama. Nice. The door looked like it might fall apart at any moment, but Norikawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. The Toyama nameplate popped off and fell to the floor. It was hard to believe this dilapidated apartment was the home of a newspaper editor who worked his way up from reporter. "Hey, Toyama, get your ass out here!" At the sound of Norikawa's angry shouting, other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. He paid them no heed, continuing to call out. Eventually, Toyama opened the door, dressed in his sweats and undershirt. "Quiet down, you moron," he snapped. "Come on in. I hear you tendered your letter of resignation at the paper." Norikawa sat cross-legged on the tatami covered floor. "Tell me why." Toyama quirked a lopsided grin. "You wanna know why I quit, huh? Alright, lean in close." Norikawa peered at him dubiously. "Huh? Why?" "I don't want anyone overhearing this." Resigned, Norikawa leaned forward and turned his right ear toward Toyama. The man's warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. At first, he had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story, but when the older man got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Norikawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company?" "Not so loud, damn it!" Toyama shushed him with a finger to his lips. He looked around warily, as if there might be spies in his own apartment. "Right, but a publishing company?" Norikawa said again, more quietly this time. "What are you going to do for your distributor account?" All booksellers were required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publications. To do business with such a distributor, the publisher needed a specialized distributor account. They're not going to let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. I'm sure you must realize that. Toyama grinned, a proud gleam in his eyes. "I know. That's why I bought one." "You bought one?" "A ghost account belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. There's no way Toyama could afford that on his severance pay alone. He must have taken out a loan in order to make the purchase. But the publishing industry was in a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books much anymore. Starting up a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. And I've already decided on a name for my company, Norikawa." Toyama's face was positively beaming. "Get this. Heaven Publishing." Heaven? That sounds fatalistic. The idea is that people who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. For all his kvetching about keeping quiet, Toyama was now exclaiming, pretty loudly himself. "I mean, I can appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have had objections," Norikawa said. Toyama fell silent. He went and opened up the refrigerator. Norikawa took a peek inside. Its shelves were mournfully spare, holding little besides beer cans and drinking snacks. "The missus left me. Took our daughter with her." Those scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. Toyama grabbed a can of beer and tossed it to his guest. "But no more sob stories," he went on. He briskly cracked open his own can of beer. Weak foam bubbled from the top. "Cheers, Norikawa, to Heaven Publishing's big debut." He cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. If the man had braced himself for the challenge, it wasn't Norikawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Even if it was an uphill battle, he had little chance of winning. "Congrats, Mr. Toyama." Norikawa pulled the tab on his beer can. "Cheers!" Two of them clacked their cans together. Clack, clack, clack. Speedy clack, 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 klaxon. 1 year had passed since Toyama founded Heaven Publishing. Norikawa poked his head into the editing office, a bag from the convenience store in hand. "Hey boss, how's business?" "How does it look like it's doing?" "Oh, this is going to be depressing again." "Oh, here's the depressing stuff." Ooh. I'm going to be completely honest. This is only being brought on just because I'm talking about depressing stuff. My mental... Let's get fucking real. Let's get fucking real right before midnight. Before I officially turn 27. I feel like my mental state has been so shot maybe over the last like 3 weeks. And usually when I get into these funks, into like these moods, like I usually come out of it at the most like within a week. Like that's like the worst. And it's been like 3 weeks. I would feel like I'd probably give it like estimate wise. It just sucks. It's ugh. Ugh. My mental is at a 0. Just a side note. Just a side note. It's not like anything in particular is like I can easily point to. It's just like I feel like as a person I'm just really bad at getting letting my mood be swayed and dictated by like outside stuff, even when it's not directly anything my fault or anything I can necessarily change, which makes it that much worse. It makes me feel even worse just because I'm like, well, it's like that inner monologue where I'm like, not inner monologue, but inner debate where I'm like, why are you feeling so bad about something you can't control? Just fucking get over it. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. But I'll be okay. As I've come to learn over the last several years, I'll get out of it. I'll get out of the funk. It's just lasting a little longer lately. And I think kind of understandably. You know. But it's whatever. It's whatever. It's whatever. He tells himself when he knows that it's not just whatever. Okay. And now I'm just playing this game where everyone's just depressed and kills themselves or dies, and I'm just like, oh, great. Okay. It's fine. It's not that bad. We're fine. How does it look like we're doing? Thomas sat amidst a veritable mountain of return stock, his expression bleak. Bookstores do not purchase the books they sell, but rather take them on consignment. This allows them to return to the publisher any books that do not sell. The books were all bulky non-fiction tomes, not exactly the sort to fly off the shelves. The man couldn't even muster a smile for their reunion. It's been like this for every non-fiction book we've had put out. Wow, starting right off with the bleak stuff, huh? Because things are bleak. The only thing that's selling is this gossip rag of jars. Norikawa pulled some beer cans from the bag, handing one to Toyama. Toyama lifted an issue of 4-Star Journal Gossip from atop his desk. It was Heaven Publishing's one breadwinner, the only thing keeping the company afloat. But Gossip now seemed like it was buried in the red of the publisher's non-fiction releases. I really did have higher aspirations than this, Toyama sighed, gazing in disappointment at the piles of unsold books. But here we are, with our Gossip magazine as our only viable publication. The beleaguered bookseller chugged his beer. Daddy, I'm hungry. Norikawa was startled to hear a young child's voice. Oh no. He turned around to see a little girl nestled between the stacks of returned stock. That's my daughter, Hana, Toyama said. It's complicated, but she's living with me now. I see. Norikawa couldn't press for more details with Hana right there. In all likelihood, things with Toyama's ex-wife hadn't been going well. Go on, introduce yourself, Toyama said. It's one of Daddy's work friends. Hana turned to Norikawa with a bright little grin. Hello, my name's Hana. I'm 6. You want some of this? Norikawa held out a packet of dried squid he'd brought to go with the beers. Sure. Hana greedily stuffed her cheeks with the squid. Toyama flashed a sheepish grin. Do you like living with your daddy, Hana? Norikawa asked, giving the girl's hair a gentle ruffle. She's adorable. Uh-huh, I do. My daddy's amazing. He runs a company. Oh, what went wrong? Oh, no. Fuck, dude. Toyama let out a tiny, involuntary sob at his daughter's ready praise. I'll keep at it, Toyama said, looking into his daughter's smiling face. Hana is more important to me than any high aspirations I might have had. I'll keep shoveling out copies of the gossip, and at least make sure she's always got something good to eat. Daddy, this is really tasty. Hana held up the pouch of dried squid. Tears welled in Toyama's eyes. Next time, I'll make sure she has some sashimi instead of something like this. Hey, what do you mean something like this? Norikawa grumbled. I'm the one who bought it. Toyama and his daughter laughed together. It was a heartwarming sight, Norikawa thought, father and his girl getting along so well. Toyama might have been a hard-hitting journalist, but when he came home at the end of the day, he was just daddy. Daddy. It was only natural for the man as a father to put his child above anything else. After gorging herself on snacks, Hana fell asleep on the sofa, looking well and truly satisfied. You know, Norikawa, Hana's happiness means more to me than my lofty artistic ideals ever could. Toyama kept his voice low as he regarded his daughter's sleeping face. And from that day forward, Heaven Publishing had shifted its focus to scandal rags, with 4-star general gossip as its pillar. Had that been for good or for ill? Whatever the case, Toyama had abandoned his pride. Norikawa had watched him become more and more of a miserable wretch. Norikawa snapped back into the present as a sheaf of pages appeared in front of his face. Here you go, Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. Norikawa gave her a copy, a close read over, then thrust it back out at her. What did you even fix? He asked. Could you please tell me what parts are wrong? She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about? It's just, well, we don't have a lot of time here, so I figure if I just fix the parts that need fixing. Chiaki trailed off into an indistinct mutter. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Yes? Then you're never going to get any better. If someone tells you it's no good, you rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Chiaki dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. Norikawa let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you, that's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first, I thought he was just pushing me around. But after rewriting things over and over, I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing. And that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Chiaki raised her head back up. Oh, wow, really? If you could get that, then stick with it. Ride your submission deadline as close as you have in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. Finally, Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit. The woman might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment, even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer. Oh, how touching, Ozu chimed in, applauding. I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure. See? We had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyama. We never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love. Norikawa shot to his feet and pounded his fist on the desk. That's about enough from the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue, Sagawa snarled. His eyes shone with a vicious gleam. We're getting sick of waiting here. Sagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Ozu clucked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper onto Norikawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision now. If you'll just stamp here, we'll be on our way. Chiaki stared down at the document. Is this a bond of recognizance? Yeah, that's right. That's what you write when transferring a debt. Sagawa puffed himself up proudly. Norikawa silently looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept the signature as well, Ozu pointed out. face it, pal, Sagawa added. If you don't hurry up and sign, we're never gonna stop going after Toyama's daughter. Murakawa snatched up a pen. Mr. Mino, you can't do this! Think about what you're doing, Chiaki shouted. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama. I won't. Yes, you will! Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Minorikawa, dammit. I'm going to land so many scoops it'll make your head spin. And I'm going to pay back that debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But why would you take such a risk? Chiaki sobbed. Minorikawa lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Minorikawa readied his pen and signed the document. Alright, Sagawa cheered. Now we're talking. A satisfied grin came to Ozu's face as he reached out for the contract. But before he could pick it up, Chiaki snatched it from the desk. Yeah, Chiaki, go! Eat that document! I'm not letting you do this! Crumpling the paper, she stuffed it right into her mouth. Hey! Sagawa snapped. What the hell are you doing? He tried to force Chiaki's mouth open. Don't you dare, you bitch! But despite his frantic efforts, Chiaki managed to gulp the water paper down. Sagawa blinked a few times. Oh, you did not just do that. Ozu looked up, dumbstruck. Guess we gotta get a new contract from the office, boss. Bring as many as you want, Chiaki declared. I'll just keep eating them. Girl, you some kind of damn goat or something? She you goat. The mental image of a goat eating paper is a common one, dating back to long ago when paper was made solely out of plant material. If a goat were to eat modern paper, the wad of chemically treated pulp would go undigested and possibly cause an intestinal blockage. So please do not feed paper to goats. Sagawa shoved Chiaki up against the desk. Ow! Cut it out! That hurts! As she struggled to resist, Chiaki lurched towards the desk, planting one of her hands atop the TV remote control. One of her fingers happened to land on the volume up button. Weep! Uh-oh. The sound from the television set soon hit max volume. We have just learned that the explosion earlier claimed the life of one man. While police have stated that there is a likelihood of foul play at work, they are also pursuing leads that this was a potential suicide. They hadn't released a name, but they must have been talking about Toyama. Feeling the impact of his mentor's Feeling the impact of his mentor's death all over again, Minorikawa slumped back in his chair, his body languid and lifeless. Still, there is one thing he could do for the friend he'd lost. Draw up a new contract. I'll sign it. Mr. Mino! Don't argue with me. I've made up my mind. Chiaki fell silent. No reneging on our deal now, Ozu said with a nasty sneer. I do hope you don't get any funny ideas about running out on us. But Minorikawa didn't need the warning. He had no such plans. Sagawa slapped a new contract onto the desk. Here, sign it. Minorikawa signed for a second time. Sagawa stepped in to make doubly certain that Chiaki couldn't eat it. Don't eat it, Chiaki. I do hope you're able to earn enough to pay us back in short order, Mr. Minorikawa. With a satisfied grin, Ozu smacked him on the shoulder. The hell? What? Minorikawa stood on deck as the ship set out across the rolling waves. In order to pay back the loan as soon as he could, he had to quit his financially unreliable career as a freelancer. For over a year now, he'd been sailing the seas, tossed by wind and waves as he went in pursuit of his new goal. But as Minorikawa gazed out over the vast wild ocean, his eyes shone with the self-same gleam that had lit them in his days as a reporter chasing after the truth. With pen exchanged for fishing rod, he sought a brand new destiny. Forge onward, Minorikawa, for the diamonds of the sea. The rare bluefin tuna. Something tells me this is a bad ending. Number 61, a man of the sea. Norikawa took on Toyama's old debt and was forced to set out for a new life at sea. Was that really Toyama who was killed in that explosion? You don't say! You're telling me it's not Toyama? Norikawa's future might turn out differently if he hears who actually was inside that minivan. You're telling me that it's not Toyama in the minivan. You're telling me Toyama is still alive? So I assume... Oh, there's Kano's thing. Yeah, let's do Kano's thing. Do. With Norikawa not getting in the way by standing on the fucking rooftops here. Kano stared in shock. Detective Tatsuno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Tatsuno responded by removing the young woman's blindfold. There was no doubt about it. She looked very much like Hitomi Asawa. A surge of frustration rushed through Kano. Detective Tatsuno, what is the meaning of this? Kano fought to remain calm. He felt like he was on the verge of falling to pieces. Bring me Hitomi Asawa, and I'll let this girl go. Why? What do you need Hitomi for? But Tatsuno's only answer was an icy stare. This isn't like you. It's so weird. The Detective Tatsuno who I know, who you know, Tatsuno cut him off. What do you know about me? I know what sort of detective you are, sir, because I've modeled myself after you for my whole career. The older man's expression remained stony. Don't you remember, Kano went on, that time when you risked your life to talk down that man who'd barricade himself inside that office? Ever since then, you've been my... Tatsuno interrupted him with a sudden burst of laughter. You really are gullible, you know that? You can only see things the way you want to see them. What do you mean by that? The truth is, I didn't even care if I died doing what I did. That's why I doused myself in gasoline. Tatsuno's voice had gone low and quiet. That was no display of heroics. It was more attempted suicide than anything else. I wasn't thinking about the other people still inside the building. It's just a coincidence things turned out the way they did. So then, if you made a single misstep, then everyone in that building might well have burned to death. You're lying! That can't be true! Kano shook his head insistently. I don't have time for this conversation. Tatsuno pressed the barrel of the gun to Maria's head. If you don't bring Hitomi Asawa to me, believe me, I'll blow her brains out. Please stop this, Kano shouted. But there was no hesitation in Tatsuno's eyes. He looked like he really would shoot Maria if Kano didn't do as he asked. Hurry up. Bring Hitomi to me. Can't you at least tell me what's going on? Go now, or so help me, I'll shoot. Kano drew his own gun from his jacket. I know you, Detective Tatsuno. I know there's some meaning behind all this. Kano's words came out as an imploring croak. You think you can shoot me? Tatsuno spat. Letting all Carowin go free? Taking Maria hostage? This has to mean something. Sweat made Kano's hand slick where he clutched his gun. I asked if you think you can shoot me. I've always looked up to you. You were the sort of detective I wanted to become. Kano's view of Tatsuno began to blur as tears welled in his eyes. Can you shoot me, Kano? I can. Even as he cried, Kano stood resolutely, doing his best to stare down the older man. He set his finger squarely on the trigger and pointed his gun at Tatsuno's forehead. Suddenly, the piercing stare vanished from the other detective's eyes. I've got to give you full marks for that, Kano. Tatsuno smiled thinly. I'll tell you then. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. The gasp. It all happened 17 years ago. A meth addict had assaulted someone in Shibuya. Tatsuno was questioning people around Dogenzaka in search of the perp. He happened to pass by Endo Electronics. Oh hey, Tatsuno. It was Katone Endo, clad in pristine white. Clutched to her breast was her daughter Suzune, only a few months old. It's been a long time, Katone said. She flashed a tiny smile. Yes, it has, Tatsuno replied with a clumsy smile of his own. Are you on the job? Yes, I am. Katone recoiled slightly at the dour look on Tatsuno's face. Is something the matter? There's an armed criminal hiding out somewhere in the area. What? I wouldn't leave the shop for a while, if you can avoid it. But I have to go to the bank to deposit some money. Surely you can have Daisuke go do it. He's away on a repair job and hasn't come back yet. Tatsuno let out a one-note sigh. I see Daisuke still does things his own way. Alright, let me escort you to the bank. You mean it? I'd feel a lot safer having you with me. Katone flashed him a smile so wide that Tatsuno thought he might lose himself in it. Aw, man. Tatsuno, Katone, and Daisuke were childhood friends. They had gone to school together up through high school. I'm having trouble reading, it feels like. My body can tell that it feels late for me, since I was up so early as well. Tatsuno and Daisuke were always clowning around together, and Katone was always there alongside them, laughing. It had been quite some time since he'd gotten to walk along Dogenzaka with Katone. How have you been lately? Well, with a newborn to look after, it's been pretty hectic, but there's never a dull moment. Things have been good. I'm glad to hear it. Katone was always as bright as a sunflower. Sometimes Tatsuno managed to convince himself that just the sight of her was enough. Outside the bank, Katone held Suzune out to him. Tatsuno received the baby with an anxious frown. What's with the face? I'm not good with babies. I haven't held one very often. Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry. Just hold on to her for a minute, while I take care of things inside. Alright. He held the baby gingerly, like it was a bomb that might explode at any moment. Katone chuckled softly. Oh, look at that baby. Suzune stirred and squirmed in Tatsuno's arms. She kind of has Katone's eyes, he thought. It was strange, the sensation of holding a child. She was so soft and light, and yet such a real and responsive presence. The faint warmth of her body warmed Tatsuno inwardly in turn. When Katone returned after making her deposit, they strolled into a nearby park, Suzune back in her mother's arms. Do you have any plans for marriage, Tatsuno? I haven't thought about it. Work has me plenty busy. Oh, that's just an excuse, Katone said. If there really were some woman you wanted to marry, you wouldn't let work stop you. Then I suppose it's because there hasn't been anyone I felt that way about. Really? Nobody this whole time? Yeah, really. I see. But still, seeing the two of you like this, it makes me realize how nice having a family could be. Tatsuno peered deeply into Suzune's face. Well, if it ain't Tatsuno. He looked up as a cheery voice cut into the conversation. It was Daisuke. What are you doing here? He asked his wife. I could ask you the same question. Come on, give me a break. I've come to make the deposit for the client. In that case, no need to worry. I just took care of it myself. Thought you'd forgotten about it. Huh, really? Katone smiled as Daisuke reached down and carefully lifted Suzune in his arms. Beaming happily at his daughter, he nuzzled up against her tiny cheek. Daisuke, long time no see. Yeah, glad you're doing well for yourself, Tatsuno. They walked side by side. Daisuke proudly showed off Suzune's drowsing face. Yeah. What do you think? Adorable, isn't she? Yeah, luckily she doesn't have your looks. Hey now. Bad-mouthing me the same as ever, huh? Some things hadn't changed since high school. Why not drop by her place for a bit, Daisuke offered. Ordered. Okay. Sorry. I'm in the middle of a job, actually. Tatsuno turned to glance at Kotone. Fucking hell. An instant later, Daisuke screamed, Kotone! A man had come up behind his wife and now held a kitchen knife to her throat. Kotone stood stiffly, frozen in terror. Let her go. Tatsuno took a step toward the man. Slightly upturned eyes, the close-cropped hair, the thin mustache. All the details matched the description. This had to be the man Tatsuno was after. Shut your damn mouth! You wanna try and kill me, huh? This lady here wants to try and kill me? The man was babbling nonsense. The reports had said the suspect was a tweaker. Right now, his mind was probably a complete mess from meth withdrawal. Left unchecked, there was no telling what he might do. Tatsuno shoved Daisuke behind him and drew his gun from his jacket. Wait, don't shoot, you'll hit Kotone! But Tatsuno ignored Daisuke's shouts and trained his gun on the perp's shoulder. He was confident in his marksmanship. He'd never miss at this range. Tatsuno, please, back down, Daisuke pleaded. Suzune still clutched in his arms. I beg you. I can't, Tatsuno hissed under his breath. This isn't someone we can reason with. The assailant began waving his knife about. He could stab it into Kotone at any moment. Tatsuno had to take the shot now. He aimed for the shoulder of the arm the man held his knife in. Tatsuno, stop! Daisuke shouted. Don't do this! For a brief moment, Tatsuno's eyes met Kotone's. He thought he saw her give a tiny nod. Don't shoot! The fuck? It was all over in an instant. By the time Tatsuno had the perp subdued, Kotone's white shirt was soaked through with red. With Kotone's death, so too died Tatsuno's heart. Whatever feelings had lived inside him had been reduced to cinders, leaving only a never-ending need to atone. Countless times he'd thought of ending his life in order to make things up to Daisuke and his children. The only reason he didn't go through with it was that he knew death would be the easy way out, and so he'd stayed on as a detective. He would carry the weight of his sins with him for as long as he lived. This was the sentence Tatsuno gave himself. Fuck, man. "15 years had passed since Kotone's death. For the first time, Tatsuno had gone to visit her grave. He was standing by the grave marker with his hands clasped when someone called out to him from behind. Excuse me? A slender young girl stood there, flowers in hand. Tatsuno instantly recognized her, Suzune. She looked just like Kotone had back in her high school days. Did you know my mother? She asked. Yes. We were classmates a long time ago. Oh, really? Thank you so much for coming. Suzune gave a slight bow, then gazed up at Tatsuno with her big, bright eyes. You look just like her. Tatsuno struggled to hold back the tears. He felt as if Kotone stood before him, returned to life. My father tells me the same thing all the time. I'm sure once you're all grown up, you'll be just as beautiful as she was. A forlorn smile came to Suzune's face. Once I'm grown up? Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I guess I really do have a lot in common with my mother, including the part where I'm going to die young. Don't be ridiculous, Tatsuno exclaimed. Why would you say such a horrible thing? Suzune took a step backward, looking shocked to be rebuked by the stranger. My apologies, he said hurriedly. I didn't mean to startle you. No, it's alright, Suzune murmured, clutching the flowers close. Honestly, it's not something I like to talk about myself, but I'm sick, so there's not really anything I can do to change it. Sick? I have a heart condition. It's a generic expression for illnesses pertaining to the heart, also referred to as heart disease. Includes things like heart failure, valvular heart disease, and so forth. A transplant is the only thing that can help me, but my blood type is a little bit weird, and it doesn't look like they'll be able to find me a compatible donor. The immune system exists to get rid of foreign substances in the body. Often a patient's immune system will attack a transplanted organ, which can result in the organ failing or functioning poorly. To mitigate the risk of rejection, it is preferable for the donor and the recipient to have matching blood tissue. In the case of a heart transplant, characteristics such as blood type and pre-sensitized antibodies, human leukocyte, antigens, must be screened ahead of time. Then, bowing her head, Suzune stepped in front of the gravestone and clasped her hands in silence. Tatsuno felt a wrenching pain inside him, as if Kotone were being taken from him all over again. If there really was a god, why would he do such dreadful things? Is there nothing I can do? She nearly lamented aloud. I'll do anything, Suzune. I'll do whatever I have to, in order to save you. Tatsuno clenched his fists as he stared at the grave. Tell me, Kotone, what can I possibly do for your daughter? Please, don't tell me. Please. Please tell me. Totally misread that. And so the months rolled on. Everything changed just after 10 o'clock that morning. Tatsuno was on the stakeout when his cell phone rang. He glanced at the call display and saw Daisuke Endo's name. He hadn't heard from Daisuke in years now. Fearing that something had happened to Suzune, Tatsuno answered the call despite his current tense circumstances. At once, he heard Daisuke wailing. Suzune had a seizure. She might not come back from this one. Tatsuno's terrible suspicions had gone rigid. Rigid? I can't read anymore. My brain is failing me. Tatsuno's terrible suspicions had been right on the mark. He felt himself growing weak. Please, Daisuke exclaimed. You need to shoot that girl you're with. That Hitomi Asawa. You need to shoot her in the head. If we have her heart, we can save Suzune. Damn. This is fucked up. Fucking Daisuke is like, fuck it, you just gotta fucking kill this random person. Save my daughter. At first, Tatsuno couldn't make sense of what Daisuke was saying. Hurry up and shoot! Shoot her, please! Hitomi Asawa was the Bombay blood type. Has the Bombay blood type. Wait, hold on, Tatsuno said, keeping his voice low. You want me to kill Hitomi Asawa? Why? He quickly scanned the area. Daisuke, are you nearby? Wait, where are you? Don't worry about that. If you can just render her brain dead... if you can just render her brain dead, we'll be able to transplant her heart into Suzune. Jesus! The term brain dead refers to a state where the entire brain, including the brainstem, is beyond any recovery. In Japan, brain death is defined by Article 6 of the Act on Organ Transplantation, which states that brain death can only be declared with the goal of authorizing a transplant and is subject to the judgment of at least 2 doctors inspecting the patient according to a preset process at least 6 hours apart. Shooting someone in the head didn't necessarily guarantee they'd wind up brain dead, and even assuming it did, if Tatsuno shot the Isawa girl here in the middle of the scramble, it would cause a giant incident. By the time the autopsy was completed, the window for a heart transplant would surely have passed. Tatsuno, shoot her, please! Daisuke, I can't. You know I can't do that. Hurry! It was like his old friend wasn't even listening to him. Look, even if she did wind up brain dead, they wouldn't be able to perform a transplant. But Daisuke kept on shouting. It's fine. It'll be fine. I'll make the transplant work somehow. You'll make it work. Even knowing how ridiculous that was, part of Tatsuno wanted to know what he had in mind, if anything. I finally found it. I found something we can do for Suzune. Please, help me help her. Tatsuno understood Daisuke's feelings painfully well. To be helpless to stop the suffering of someone you loved. Nothing in the world hurt as much as that. I want to save Suzune. Tatsuno, this is the one thing I will ever ask of you. Tatsuno could hear choked weeping from the other end of the line. And at that sound, something inside him shifted. Yes, Daisuke was right. The likelihood of a transplant happening wasn't the issue. What mattered was that right now, he could take action. He could do something for Suzune. He mustered up his resolve, feeling the doubt lift from his heart. For Suzune. For the daughter of the woman he loved. This is all kind of fucked up, just in so many ways. Damn this story. Tatsuno checked the gun tucked inside his jacket, then slowly began making his way through the crowd toward Hitomi. Now you know why we're here. Tatsuno gestured subtly with his gun, its barrel still pressed against Maria's temple. Kano's own gun wavered in his hands. He was crying inside. There was nothing else he wanted to hear from Tatsuno now. And now, he was sure of one thing. Words were never going to stop this man. Kano, Tatsuno said. At my age, I've seen all sorts of young detectives come and go. He fixed his lonesome gaze on Kano. And you're about the worst of the lot. Whenever it's time to take action, you immediately do something reckless. Do you know how many formal apologies I've had to write because of you? Tatsuno let out a heavy sigh. But you know, Kano, because of the way you've looked up to me, you've saved me. And that's the truth. He sounded like a man speaking his last words. Now come on, see if you can stop me. He pressed the gun harder against Maria's temple. Kano took aim at his former hero's head. Detective Tatsuno? His finger wavered on the trigger. Shoot him. You have to shoot him. If you don't shoot him, Maria's going to die. He tried desperately to convince himself. This game better not make me choose to shoot him or don't shoot him. I'm gonna be fucking pissed if that pops up here. Because if it does, that is a heavy-ass game moment. This whole time you've been making little decisions here and there. That would be crazy. I am going to stop you. Tatsuno looked him coldly in the eye. Do it then. Shoot me. Kano stared right back. He tightened his finger on the trigger. Ugh! Jesus. Alright, what an hour and a half that's been. We're ending here for the night. We basically got Maria and Achi's story here for the hour. That's at to be continued. This will probably be fixed in Achi's story. He probably beats up the lone dudes or something. And then that's at to be continued. So we got these two stories. When we start next time on this, I'll probably start with Maria since we've seen what Maria's up to. This one's more, we don't know where it's going, so I'd rather leave it to last if we can, if that makes any sense. I still think I can finish this game before Friday night, and then we just easily smooth transition into The Last of Us Part 2, as that releases in about 6 days. I'll have outside of stream. Like I said, I finished and platinumed Destroy Humans 2 earlier today on stream. That was great, I guess. Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming very close to being finished and platinumed as well off stream. So that's been kind of fun. As far as tomorrow, like I said, I don't want to rule out the possibility that I go on. But don't be surprised if I just take the day off to myself, as we just crossed basically 12 o'clock here, my time. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do tomorrow. Who fucking knows? I'll leave it open, but there's a chance that I'll just want to just peace out for the day mentally. So this was, like I said, a heavy hour and a half of this game for sure, or at least I felt like it was. Maybe it really isn't, and I just feel like it's heavier than it is. I don't know. Maybe my mental state is potentially impacting how I'm feeling about this game right now. It's good. It's not like I'm mad or I think it's bad or anything. It's just is heavy. The whole game is drawing to this conclusion where it feels like the ending is not going to be like a good happy ending for sure, and probably far from it, one way or the other, for at least a couple of these characters. So yeah, we'll see if I go live tomorrow, but I might just take the day off. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, enjoy your Sunday, rest up for what is sure to be another long week ahead. And I'll see you next time.